Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. Fall is just around the corner. So today I wanted to share with you a simple and delicious tea that is perfect for the autumn season. This is an easy to brew Echinacea and Rosemary tea. Are you wondering why I'm choosing to put these two herbs together? Or maybe you've guessed it already. Echinacea, which is actually known as coneflower if you go to buy it at your local garden center for planting in your herb garden, is well known for its ability to support the immune system. You will often find Echinacea in teas meant to treat cold and flu or cold and flu symptoms. Along with those cold and flu symptoms, it also can help with allergies because really they have a lot in common. Congestion, stuffy nose, sore throat, like all those things, cold, flu, allergies. So if you are suffering from any of those, or again, since it helps boost your immune system, if it's just getting close to cold and flu season, or you've been around somebody who isn't feeling well, being a little proactive with some Echinacea tea is a good idea. Echinacea is full of antioxidants, which help slow aging, and it's also anti-inflammatory, making it good for aches and pains. And if all that isn't enough, it's also said to boost your mood. If you grow Echinacea in your yard or in your garden, I encourage you to go out and harvest a few flowers, a handful of leaves, put them on a paper towel, let them dry on the counter. You can also use a dehydrator if you're not patient enough for that, but definitely harvest some, have it on hand to enjoy all fall and winter long. And then there's the rosemary, which you probably think of as a culinary herb and stop, right? You probably don't often consider about using it in tea. And it does have a very strong flavor, so a little does go a long way. But rosemary has a lot in common with Echinacea. It has the antioxidants and the vitamins. It supports the immune system. It's also anti-inflammatory, so it eases pain, and it's also good for digestion on top of all that. Rosemary is also said to reduce stress and anxiety. So we have one herb that is said to boost your mood, one that is said to reduce stress and anxiety. Let those two work together while they also help keep you healthy. I want to say a couple more things about rosemary specifically. For one, I like to add it to a tea because it has sort of that, not heat, but there's that piney, pungent flavor that will act as a very gentle catalyst, which will help both herbs sort of work on your body. But you might notice that in all of my herbal videos, I always include a disclaimer down in the description box because there's always allergies, there's always adverse reactions, interactions with drugs, because herbs do work. So they can be dangerous if you aren't using them correctly, or you get too crazy and are just using too much. And rosemary is one of those herbs that you would think would be perfectly safe. It's a culinary herb. People eat it all the time. And in small doses, it is perfectly safe, assuming you're not allergic to it. But in higher quantities, so if you were all of a sudden like, ooh, this sounds great, Tracy, I'm going to start drinking nothing but rosemary tea all day long, or I'm going to start taking capsules of rosemary, that is not a good thing. If you start taking too much rosemary, you will likely soon regret it. Excessive consumption causes nausea, it can cause vomiting, it can cause uterine contractions if you're pregnant, and that is definitely a bad thing. And taken in high enough doses, it's even been known to cause seizures. So I say all that not to scare you away, because you can take rosemary, you can drink several cups of rosemary tea a day, you're going to be fine. But it's one of those herbs that if you go not so crazy with it, does have some pretty serious side effects, even though it's a culinary herb. So now that I've tried to scare you to death about using herbs, let me show you how to make this tea. If you have watched any of my cooking videos, you know I'm not big on measurements. I much more like to cook by feel. The same goes for making myself a cup of tea. If I'm making it for me, I tend to just sort of estimate, see what looks good, see how it smells, maybe taste it and know how to adjust it next time. So I'm going to give you a recommendation. Feel free to make edits and change it up to suit your taste. So if you've never used loose leaf tea, which is essentially what we're doing here, you have a couple options. You can buy a cup like this that comes with a strainer. You put your loose leaf tea or your herbal tea in the strainer, pour the hot water over it so that it's up, like, so the herbs are in the water. Let it steep for a little bit and then just pull the herbs out and you have a nice cup of tea. You can buy something like this, which is the same idea, but it just fits on a regular mug. You can use something like this, which is just a compostable tea bag. So you put your herbs in here and then you treat this just like a normal tea bag. Stick it in your cup, add water, remove it when it's brewed. Or I like to use this little single serving French press. I put the herbs in, I add the water, I stir it around, and then when it's all done, you just press the herbs down to the bottom and you have tea. So let's use my handy dandy French press. Now, these are herbs that I dried just recently. I have some echinacea flowers and leaves, all nice and dried, and then just a few sprigs of rosemary that I dried. I'm not using all of this. This is just what I had sitting on my workbench. I'm probably going to use maybe one flower. You could break it up if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. And then I'm going to grab a couple, looks like it's 3 leaves. I'm just sort of crunching them up into my French press. You can see it in there. And then when it comes to the rosemary, rosemary is much stronger in flavor, so I don't want as much. So I'm just gonna like pick off a little end. So just this little sprig. It's probably the equivalent to maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of something chopped up finer. I'm gonna break it into pieces. And I'm ready to make tea. So to this, I'm just gonna add some hot water. And stir this around. It's not going to get a big color change. You know, as I look at this, I'm kind of like, not happy with the quantity now that I have the water on it. So I'm going to add 1 more flower and 1 more leaf. Stirring it around. Now I'm going to let this steep for a good 5 minutes because I want time for it to pull all the medicinal goodness out of the herbs. You could even go further, more like 10 minutes. Depends on how strong you want the tea. While the tea is brewing, I encourage you to make sure to click the little thumbs up to let YouTube know that people are interested in content like mine. You can also leave me a comment. Let me know your favorite herbal tea. And if you try Echinacea and Rosemary, I would love to hear what you think of it. It's been just over 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and press the herbs down, leaves a nice little tea on top. And then it's ready to enjoy. What if I didn't have echinacea growing in my yard, or rosemary for that matter? How would I go about making this tea? For one, you can find echinacea tea in just about any grocery store, any health food store, really any place that sells some amount of herbal teas, they will have echinacea. Or you could go to an herbal store or a tea store and buy dried echinacea there as well. For the rosemary, you have a couple options. Go to the grocery store. You can usually buy fresh rosemary in the produce aisle amongst all the herbs they have there, or you can get dried rosemary over in the spice rack. I often make my teas with dried herbs because I harvest them, I dry them, and that's how I store them throughout the season to use. But if they're still growing in your yard, you could make this tea with fresh echinacea and fresh rosemary. You could skip the drying step. Just grab a couple flowers and some leaves, rinse them off, tear them into pieces, add a little sprig of rosemary, add the hot water. You have fresh echinacea and rosemary tea. A little rosemary does go a long way. That little piece I used, that is the main flavor that I get in this tea, is the rosemary. But it is so tasty, and that piney taste of rosemary, assuming you like rosemary, is perfect as the nights begin to get cooler and we want to curl up in the evening with a warm cup of tea. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will give Echinacea Rosemary tea a try. Cheers.